Ms. Mock? Yeah, okay. Mr. Moncourt?
There she is.
Mr. Wiggler?
Here.
Mrs. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes, here.
Ms. LaRange? Here. Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Thank you. This evening, we have the budget. We go to the budget subcommittee, and then we'll go into the public hearing portion of the meeting in regards to the public meeting budget. Objection?
Go.
Mr. Wiggler?
First of all, I'd like to start off by saying, I'd like to thank the Colleen and the staff for really taking a hard look line by line at the budget over the course of the last month and a half. And it's resulted in a significant reduction from iteration one of our budget, which, we realized was a challenge both for us and the towns, significant challenge. Last night, the budget subcommittee, following a joint revenue discussion with the central office subcommittee, voted to bring the FY 27 proposed budget figure of $42,770,917 to the full committee for its approval prior to the public hearing. This figure represents a reduction of $1,116,526 from the previous budget version and an increase of 4.78% over the current year's budget. We need a motion to approve this figure.
So moved. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay.
Any discussion?
I guess for a question for me, what is the current vote is doing specifically? I think I'm confused about that.
What is the current vote doing? The current vote is approving the $42,770,917 to bring to the public hearing. That's the second iteration of the budget. Now, this may not be the final version. Obviously, we have some concerns going forward, challenges both from a revenue side and also from an expenditure side. And in the towns, obviously, some towns may have some concerns relative to the increase.
And at which point did the town actually start? I mean, I guess today was the day we could have expected people to attend this meeting, right? So obviously we don't have anyone from towns.
Oh, we do have some.
We do have a couple.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I want to make sure I understand.
Disparaging us?
I mean, I'm asking this because I want to make sure that, because of course this conversation kind of keep going in a circle, right? And you find people in different spaces that ask more questions, where in fact everything has been posted, everything is online. I want to make sure I understand the proper order here. So therefore that we are doing our due diligence, sharing information appropriately, which means that the next step after this vote, do we just go back to the town for discussion? So when is the next step for them to get involved, the FinCom and so forth? Again, asking for clarity, that's all.
Well, the towns have had opportunities over the course of the last couple of months. In towns, I mean, Barry's been here, Oakham's been here. I think all the towns have actually been here except for, I believe, maybe the town of Hubbardston. Maybe, hopefully they're online tonight. They take a look at the budget. If they have any concerns, they can bring them to our attention. As I said, this doesn't mean that this is the final number. In most cases, what we approve to go to the public hearing generates some concerns. We then have some additional budget meetings, and this may go down even further. I would think.
Dr. Hunt?
Yeah, an important point, and I think we all know this. The budget is in the hands of the school committee. It's not in the hands of the selectmen or the finance committee of the towns. It goes before the town meeting, and the town meeting will accept it or not. 4 of the 5 towns accept the budget. Even if the 5th one does not, it is then an approved budget. But it's our budget up to us. The subcommittee is the first step, really, in creating this document. But it's a school committee document. It's not a selectman or a finance committee. They can comment, but the town meeting is the only, will accept or reject.
Also, we have other timelines happening.
So that was just.
Yes, do you want to? Do you want?
No,
Okay.
go for it.
There's timelines too, in regards to 45 days on the first town meeting. So on a notification, be able to tell the towns what the budget is. It is called preliminary for a reason, because you still have the House budget. This budget, Mr. Wiggler, was built upon the knowledge with the administration from the governor's numbers and what they are, the cherry sheets and everything on that perspective. You still have part two, correct? The legislator, the House, sometime in April,
By April 15th.
April 15th. Then if there's other adjustments that we can make, and hopefully there's other monies that you put in from the governors. And then there's the third piece, which is the Senate version. And then from there, if they are not in sync, it goes to a conference committee to eventually have a bona fide state budget to be approved by the legislator and approved by the governor.
Which may not even happen before June 30th.
Correct,
Well,
yeah.
probably won't.
But we are held to these legal deadlines to provide this preliminary information for the towns without all of the revenue knowledge, without having all of our costs known at this time. And without a lot of the towns being involved, they don't understand the process, and they believe that we are just coming in with this large budget. And then we cut and cut to get to where they need later. However, this is our real budget based on the knowledge we have at this time.
Excellent, I appreciate it. I mean, I was I attended a lunch and learn last Friday from MASC.
Yes.
And I think it was, that was the kind of question because there is a proper process in place. And I think we want to make sure I generate that kind of discussion here, because I've seen it. We've put information online, it's there, we communicate it. So therefore, any last minute question, we want to make sure that we can actually, okay, well, we did communicate and do our due diligence.
Sure.
So I wanted to kind of generate that conversation here.
And we do encourage the town participation.
We also go there, though.
Yes, we do
We
that as
also-
well.
So Allison and I will definitely make a little road show to our select board meetings, finance committees, anyone who will have us.
And then I got Lee and Dr. Allen again, but also we are very, very sensitive. We understand how the towns and the monies and the loss of monies that come from the state, not only not helping us, not helping the municipalities. So it is a collaborative way of working, but at the end of the day, it's the school committee's authority by statute under regional agreements to be able to put a budget together and to set the budget and then to continue to work. As Mr. Wiggler is saying, there will be adjustments, hopefully, with revenues, various revenues that we can come in here to be able to keep the lower assessments. That's the key.
So the twofold is the budget process and the timelines we need to adhere to. However, the state doesn't adhere to those. And the formula that doesn't work for what,
72.
72? Okay, 80, good, it's 10 less than I thought. So it's both sides against us.
So Lee and then Dr. Allen.
Yeah, the only other point, or another point is that we can go down on our budget once we've set it, we can't go up. So if we were to sit here and say, oh, let's go with low budget, then if the state gives us money, we can go up, we can't. So people sometimes say, oh, why do you come in with such a high budget if you think you're going to have to play with it? We have to, because we never have the state numbers. Right.
Dr. Allen.
Yeah, the last thing I was gonna say is there's significant tension between us and what we see as our mission and the towns and what they see as their need. Because they'll say, well, we can't afford, et cetera, so you need a cut. Well, our job is to educate our students the best we can, obviously within the limits of what the towns can support. But we as a committee have never that I know in my 55 years on the committee. That we'll just cut because the town, if we think that the students and their educational needs require a particular number. We've been very firm on this. And as a matter of fact, our Barry town leader over there was one of the key proponents of that particular model. Now, she may have modified her stance a little bit, but not a whole lot, I don't think, because she's been very supportive of what we do. And the future of our towns is in our children. We firmly believe this. And so we have held strongly to the fact that we need to educate them as well as we can, obviously within the limits of the town. But we've held that position all along and have never backed off of it.
That answer your question? Please continue to ask those questions. I'm glad that you are absolutely inquisitive and wanting to know not only the process, but to be able to articulate when you meet folks and say, that school budget, how does it work? All you guys do is hold us hostage. No, we don't. And we work through a process and we'll continue to do that in a manner not only is respectful, it's collaborative, it is. And you have a superintendent that, and the administrative staff that goes to the FinCon and the select boards. So we're not in a vacuum. Mr. Wiggle.
I think, to be honest with you, we have a very transparent superintendent. That really, he's looking at this as a lean budget. And we're trying to provide a quality education, implement a lean budget and not hurt the towns. I mean, that's ideally what we're trying to do. And that's, we're trying to work together. It's a cooperative agreement. And we understand their challenges. And we also have challenges of our own, which, as somebody mentioned, the state puts on us. I mean, unfunded mandates. I mean, you've heard that probably a number of times. So, that's where it is. So are we?
Any other further discussion or questions for Mr. Wiggle? Seeing and hearing none, vote on the figure.
Vote.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Mock?
yes,
Mr. Moncourt?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Ms. LaRange? Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Okay.
Before we open the public hearing, I'm sure that, Colleen has a few remarks before she turns it over to Allison, who's prepared some slides that probably answer some of the questions that people have come up with here. And also the folks in the towns can also take a look at the numbers and, if they have any concerns, we have an email address on the budget presentation that's online that people can get back to us on.
I will just start with a clarifier. I've never been asked to back into a budget number by our town. So I want to be clear about that. I think our towns do want a good education for our kids. And I really like the expression of understanding that we need to work within their means and their reality too. So as hard as it's been for us, it's also been that difficult for our communities. So all I want to say is we are really trying to dig deep. I think you will see that this year. And I feel like much of what I would have said, you guys already took care of. So I think we're going to turn it over to Allison. And if there's any questions along the way, feel free to just jump in and ask them. You don't have to wait till the end.
You have to just give me a second.
You able to record Allison's vote?
Alicia,
Alicia,
yes.
yeah.
Yes for me.
All right, so these are all the figures that we already went over, but I guess just to go back over them, since the first round, we have eliminated 1.1 million from the first proposal. So this budget is up 4.78%. This blue slide is the appropriation control report. In the drive, there is the function appropriation control report. It's a yellowy orange color. And I'm gonna go line for line following that one, and I will discuss every single reduction on that report and give an explanation for all of them, so you know where it all derived from. This one's a consolidated report, and it truncates it all, so it's a little bit easier to read. So slides 4, 5, and 6 are gonna follow the function appropriation control. If you care to follow along, they're in the drive. So I'll start with the school committee, I can't say this number, 1,110, yep. We have a reduction in the educators' legal and employment practice insurance for about $4,700. Function 1450 for district-wide administration technology. We are terminating our transportation routing software for $4,500. 2110 for curriculum director. We are cutting the subscription budget by $5,500 for the following subscriptions. Below that, 2210 for the principal's office. We are moving 2 positions to rural aid and cutting 1 position for $284,942. Below that, 2305 for teachers regular ed, cut 1 position and cut 1 open position and 2 filled positions for $142,925. PD lines 2352 through 2358. Reworked some contractual agreements for summer PD requirements, saving $62.75.
Before we go to the next slide, could I just ask for clarification on when you talk about teachers regular cut, you cut 1 open position, the 2 filled positions, what subject areas or what level of, where is it, in elementary, middle school?
Yeah, so I should have launched with that. So at this time, I'm really not comfortable giving specific information. It's early in our process, and I always hate this because it feels not quite transparent when I do this, but I feel like our educators deserve a conversation with me before they hear some
No problem.
public. So that's why it's not specific, but we will share that as we get closer.
Right, 2430, we have general supplies. We reduced the elementary supply budget from 65 a student to 55 a student, saving $9,050. Below that, 2451, instructional hardware for students and staff. The teacher laptop refresh cycle for 38,000 was removed, along with the Chromebook refresh cycle for 100,000. Below that, 3,300 for transportation. Reduction in budgeting for non-yellow bus roads and the New Horizon student transportation for $61,200. Little explanation, we have a couple students that are on roads that are not accessible to yellow buses, so we have to route them with vans currently. And with our new contract with McCarthy, he was able to route us with another district and cut the cost in half. And the New Horizons, the program has a late start and an early release. And we are going to try to figure it out so that we can map the students into a different schedule, whether that be we drive them to the school as opposed to having them on their own separate van on their own route independently. We'll just keep them on the choice bus and house them at the high school until their program starts. We haven't really figured that one out yet, but we're going to do that to eliminate the need for their own separate van.
What's the New Horizons?
That's over New Braintree, the alternative program for our high school students. Yeah. Remember they named it, they named it New Horizons Academy.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Below that, 4,300 for building improvement, reduced the capital repair projects by 25,000. We initially had 50,000 in the budget. We're reducing it by 25,000 and we're going to fund that out of revolving. So we're going to maintain the 50,000, but pulling 25,000 out of general fund. Below that, 5260 for fixed costs, reduction in property and casualty insurance at our annual renewal for 36,127. That one talks to the first line item I spoke to for the reduction in educators' legal and employment practice insurance. We are sticking with the same insurance agent, just a different insurance company, and we were able to save just over $40,000 by doing that. Underneath that, 2305 for teachers, special education. We cut one open position and moved a teacher to rural aid for 137 and 724.
Can I just ask a question? Do we feel comfortable charging positions to rural aid?
I'm gonna actually talk about that. I'm happy to do it now, but.
No.
Okay.
As long as we get the information, fine. Thank you.
And 2330 for paras, we cut an open para position for 26,750. Below that, 2710 for guidance and adjustment services. Position was moved to rural aid for 77,148. And below that, 2,800 for psych services, position filled through attrition at a lower step and lane, saving $33,861.
So if you want, I'll just jump in on the rural school. So I want to say a couple things about these reductions. So even our preliminary budget included 6 position reductions, and this budget includes an additional 12 reductions of positions. It's huge.
18.
Many of the reductions that you're hearing about as far as the transportation and the insurance, I just have to give our business department a huge shout out because they sort of called every person they could think of to see if they could get us a better deal. And we also increased our bank interest, right? So we're kind of paying attention to that as well. As far as rural school aid goes, that's a great question, Deb. And maybe Maureen will, add a little 2 cents here, but we based it off of what we received last year. And it is a bit of a gamble because it could be reduced. But we felt, again, trying to do everything we can with not touching our teachers and those closest to our students, that we would take the gamble and, pay attention when the House releases their budget and see where we're at, and it'll give us a better idea. But we actually did the same thing last year. So it is sort of level
I remember
funded. We were nervous.
different thing for that last
Yeah,
year, but I
yep.
didn't realize we were charging. Okay.
Yeah. So this year we really said we're going to be very specific so we could be as transparent with all of you as possible. I think last year we said we offset the budget with the rural school aid. This year we're really saying these are the positions we're moving into it. And they're aligned. If you remember the rural school aid, it has to be to create efficiencies within a regional school district. So every position that's there is something that creates an efficiency across the district. So it might be a shared staff or a program where multiple students across our districts are, participate in.
Colleen, could you tell me what you anticipated for minimum aid in this budget?
I sure can. $75 a student.
Okay, so you went with the governor.
We did.
I mean, last year there was it was $150, so there's room for maneuvering there if the House and Senate help us, but the governor did not. The governor did help with rural aid, but
Will it hold?
it holds, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the variables that we're working with, which we've had, contract negotiations, still in the middle of those. Heating oil, still working on that. And as we know, economic factors have played a huge part in that now. So that is really up in the air. And I definitely budgeted on the higher end with the hopes that we would come in much lower and there would be a savings there. Now I'm happy that I budgeted on the higher end, but I'm also wondering if I didn't budget enough because of the economic factors. So I guess we're going to see how that plays out.
Like, are you planning to go to bid now or wait, or what's your strategy for?
I was going to go through the local consortiums and I've been communicating with a lot of them. There's a lot of people involved, so I figured that the spread weight would maybe work to our benefit instead of going out to bid. And with a lot of communication, it seems to be that that's our best option. Truly, I don't know what the best option is right now. So, I mean, I think it's too far gone at this point to even, it's just, we've got time till June 30th, so kind of just wait it out, I guess. But the consortiums that we're looking at, like FREC, they're going out to bid in the next week or two. So it'll all be coming full circle in the next couple weeks and looking at numbers. So we'll have something. And we have a copier, the large copier in the copy center at the middle high that we own, and it's not being used to its efficiency right now. So we're looking at getting rid of that. And there's going to be a savings there, but we're in the beginning stages of that right now. And truthfully, that is not my realm. I don't understand copiers, so we're going to work on that one, Andrew and I.
Can I ask a quick question on the heating oil? What is the usual timeline? I understand this is a very unusual time right now, what's going on in the world. But what is the timeline that we do out to bid for the following year?
March, April.
Around March, April?
Yep.
Okay. And you're looking at the consortiums, specifically the French River?
I'm looking at French River and what's that acronym for the agricultural that we're looking at?
CMRPC.
Yep. They also have one as well. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of different ones that I'm playing around with right now.
Thank you.
Yep. So budget efforts thus far. So as we talked about, we had 6 position reductions, round 1, 12 this time around. We're anticipating using 750,000 of E&D, 10,000 of E&D towards the OPEB contribution, so a total of 760,000. Moving positions to rural aid level funded from 26. And moving positions to school of choice at the governor's figure plus reserves that we have currently. So a little bit of a gamble there as well. Using anticipated interest income to offset some expenses and no new position requests in the budget.
Right now, they've all been cut.
Dr. Allen?
Yeah, what is E&D right now?
We were certified at 1.15 million.
Can you go back to that last slide? Do we really feel comfortable charging all of these things to E&D, rural aid, and school choice? Do we feel comfortable that we're gonna have enough in reserves for all of that?
This is what
That's
we've
really
done.
risky, like
This is
What we've done the past several years.
that much.
This is
Yeah.
the figures.
Yep. It's about exactly the same. So this is what we've done the past several years and as we've talked about it, it's challenging. We don't want to use any more E&D, that's for sure,
No.
right?
I'm nervous at hitting all those areas.
I can give you figures if it's not so bad, I guess. when
Yeah,
you're
usually, I
listening to
thought
it.
that's what we were gonna say. I
Yeah.
thought we were gonna have like 100 slides tonight.
Um,
I thought we were gonna see all that stuff. That's why I have so many questions.
Yeah, so for rural aid, we're funding FY 27 at 683,465. School choice, as of right now, including all of our encumbrances for salaries and everything, we have $3,006,032. We are anticipating 2.16 million for FY 27. And we are charging for FY 27, 3.14 million.
3.14.
So
Why do you think such a reduction for next year?
that I don't know. That's the number that we were given, so I don't actually know.
Who gives us that?
The governor, that's just on the cherry sheet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Department of Revenue.
Go ahead. And I know that last meeting, we talked a bit about, understanding the chapter 70 formula a bit and making it more into simpler terms as to where assessments are derived from start to finish. Given that there's been, enrollment reductions and enrollment growth in certain towns and how assessments are all over the place. So I took the liberty of typing up a couple pages. It's not going to be super long, but it explains exactly where the numbers derive from the foundation budget all the way to your assessments. And this is just a 1 through 7, so it shows you the steps that I'm going to explain and a little graphic. You can go ahead to the next one because we don't have the printouts. A little graphic that shows the same thing. And I will just show you this and you can go next. Right here, we're going to talk about, this is your operating assessment. The bottom numbers, you can't see those actually, but on the bottom is what the assessment looks at or looks like right now with the budget that we're presenting. So overall, a 7.93% increase to the assessments. New Braintree is a negative and our highest being Hardwick, 0.54. And you see the top at your required local contribution and the above required local contribution, which play a factor into your overall operating assessment.
I'm not trying to be coy. I apologize. If New Braintree's has a negative, does that mean we pay them?
No, they're just, we're charging them less,
We're just charging them less?
less than last year.
Okay.
That would be something though.
Wouldn't it? That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't that be nice?
I'd like that.
That we're able to then say, wait a minute here. So, okay, so that's the required local contribution you just outlined, correct?
Yep.
This comparison is actually between what they paid last year.
Yeah.
What they'll be required to pay this year.
Thank you.
26 to 27. And I just popped up the enrollment figures so you see, and then I am still gonna go over the sheets that I typed up, but all of this speaks to the steps 1 through 7 of how we derive that D assessments. Okay, we can go next. So I typed this all up. This all comes right from the chapter 70 formula, and I picked every single town and every little point that is factored into every figure that results down to the assessment. So I will leave this screen up on here so you can follow along with your respective towns, and I'm just going to read through the steps 1 through 7. And hopefully that this is a little bit clearer as to how we ended up where we are. Starting with the foundation budget, it's the minimum, the minimum amount of money the state school district needs to provide an adequate education. It starts with the number of students enrolled on October 1st of the previous year in a member town. The state then calculates costs using several different categories such as classroom teachers, administration, special ed, operations and management, and other school services. Each category has its own cost rate. These costs are also adjusted depending on student needs. In our case, the state has calculated a foundation amount of $15,372 per student. However, the foundation budget is not simply enrollment multiplied by this number. Instead, the state adds together all the cost categories and the student needs to create a total foundation budget, and this is called a weighted formula, meaning some of the students and services cost more than others. Following that, the combined effort yield is how the state measures the town's ability to pay for the schools. The state looks at two main things, the town's property value and the income of the residents. And that formula is the property value times the property rate plus the resident income times the resident rate. This produces a dollar amount that represents how much the state believes the town could reasonably raise for its schools. Next, the state divides the combined effort yield by the foundation budget, and this produces the target local share percentage. The target local share shows what percentage of the foundation budget the state believes the town should pay based on its financial strength. Wealthier communities are expected to pay a larger share, while communities with less wealth will pay a smaller share. The municipal revenue growth factor estimates how much a town's revenue capacity has grown from one year to the next. The state calculates a growth percentage based on local economic factors. This percentage is then applied to the previous year's required local contribution to calculate a new required local contribution for the upcoming year. An easy real life way to think about it is the target local share is like the amount of money that you'd like to save for your retirement. And the municipal growth revenue factor is how much you'd like your paycheck to increase, allowing you to contribute more towards that goal. Once the required local contribution is calculated for each town, the state then determines the Chapter 70 aid. Chapter 70 is simply, it fills the gap between the required local contribution and the foundation budget. For example, our total required local contribution from all 5 towns is $14,057,000. Our total foundation budget is $29 million. The state then provides Chapter 70 aid at $15 million and minimum aid at $75 per student for $141,975. Together, these amounts bring the district up to the full foundation budget. Next, we go to net school spending. Once the state funding and local contributions are added together, the district must meet required spending level called net school spending. Net school spending equals the required local contributions plus the Chapter 78. For our district, that's $29 million. And if a district spends less than that required amount, the state may withhold funding in the future. And the state verifies this each year through the end of year financial report. The district operating budget and assessments. After the state calculations are complete, the district creates its annual operating budget. Most districts cannot operate on net school spending alone, so additional funding is usually required. Once the governor's final budget is released, the district applies all available revenue sources. In our case, that would be Medicaid reimbursements, E&D funds, investment income, NJROTC reimbursements. After these revenues are applied to the budget, any remaining amount that still needs to be funded is shared among the member towns. This additional amount is distributed based on the town's percentage of resident student enrollment, and this portion is called the above local contribution. The final assessment to the town is made up of 2 parts, your required local contribution and the above required local contribution. And together, these 2 total amounts make up what each town must pay to the school district. And I hope that that was in simple enough terms that it's understandable and how we derived at the assessment. And a lot of the foundation of the assessment numbers aren't really driven by enrollment. And enrollment obviously plays a factor into it, and the budget does as well. But a lot of this it starts with your towns and what the towns individually report for your resident income and your town's individual wealth. And that's where you'll see how your required local contribution will go up or down. It will probably even not go down, but likely up.
Dr. Allen?
What is our average student cost and how does this relate to the state? I assume we're a little below average, but.
Our average based on the formula?
Oh, it's something that was spending.
Oh, ours offhand.
Last year it was around 19,000 something. So we're up a little this year. It's probably around 20.
Okay, in the state?
The state puts us at 15,372.
That's what
State
the
average.
state says,
Yeah.
but I think you want to know schools across the state, what do they
Yeah,
spend on
Yeah,
average?
Boston is what,
I-
40,000?
I can look it up for you. Yeah,
I know.
Do we know that?
I'll look it up for you while we're sitting right here.
Okay. Okay.
Like in school.
Claire?
In school. I just wanted to add one point, and that is when you're doing local contribution. Once you have the municipal growth rate, which I once questioned the state about, and they said we get it from all the numbers you submit to us. So it's your local revenue growth, it's your, your Prop 2.5 increase, and they gave me all the factors. So once they come to that part of the equation, where they take, what did you pay last year times your municipal growth based on all the numbers that you have posted on the websites with the state, then they get a number. And then they look at that number, they divide it by the foundation budget, and they compare that percentage to what you should be able to pay, which is the income and the property values. And if there's a big enough gap, they feel that you will not be able to reach the required state percentage that they want you to pay. And therefore you get a penalty. And if you fall within so much of a gap, it's 1%, a little bit over, it's 2%. Well, okay, I'm glad it was about a 2% this year penalty. So ours went up local contribution plus another 2%. And then I had always had real difficulty figuring out how your local contribution was not what I was seeing on the website. Until Pathfinder explained to me, now you go to the next sheet. I am in 2 school districts. Pathfinder, Quabbin. Next year I'll be in 3 school districts, Quabbin, Pathfinder, Northbrook Agricultural. And then they divvy up, and it used to be on number of students, but now it looks like foundation budget. And they tell you this percentage goes to Quabbin and that one goes to Pathfinder and that'll go to Northbrook and that, you know. So.
I am going to talk about.
Gotta be a math genius.
You do. Unfortunately, I want to show you that it's real. I'm not making it up, but the website is down tonight for system maintenance for per pupil spending, but I will gladly share that with you. Typically, we are not on the high end of per pupil spending. We're very much,
below the average.
yeah, or right at the average, just a hair under, but yes, yeah. But I'll get you that number.
Question that always comes up at the Barry Town meetings is Bob is paying $4 million more than they need to, because what's required is X, and they're paying X plus, I'm making up a number now, X plus 4 million. They owe us $4 million because they can educate those children according to the state by this number, and they're spending $4 million more. So that is a piece of the formula that they'll ask, well, I think they asked you about it last year. And I really encourage you to have a very simple reason for that. There's 5 or 6 people who they really think they found how everybody's cheating them. It's about required minimum of a. So at any rate, and of course, what I say is a little bit tarnished, you know, from my perspective. They look at Marshall and they go, yeah, she's a big school person. So it's really important for you to come with that information because I know you'll get after it.
Okay, great.
One thing I will note too is that Senator Durant has met with the Barry Select Board this past week, and we hammered, rural school aid.
Yep.
And I said, why did you vote on that last year? And he goes, oh, I don't remember. But anyway.
Better now.
You know, and
That's tough.
I will guarantee the only way you can really move some of them is you have to get them in a room with yourself, because that they have to know that you're gonna come looking for them. Because, you know, we go and testify at those big hearings, and they basically just go, okay, they're gone. Seriously, Durant has to, he knows Marshall's going to the polls. He knows when we sit across the table, so we are really encouraging, and I know you saw probably that we're putting on that great big meeting next week. We're really encouraging. Take your documents, go and say to the aide, I want to meet you. I want to meet you. They probably won't always meet with you, but then you write a couple letters, have some parents write letters. That is far more effective. They do not like to be called out and said, we watched how you voted. We watched that some of the senators and reps who said, I always support local aid. I always support regional transportation reimbursements. They lied. Because then I say, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. And Senator Lewis is retiring. He's a big person who can give us that aid that we need, minimum aid. But he's 7 months and he's gone. So I'm really nervous about what we have legislatively working on us. That the House hates the Senate right now, the leadership. So there's lots of back and forth. So we're really concerned about whether the governor's budget is dead on arrival or whether her numbers are gonna go further than we'd hope. I mean, we hope for that minimum aid. That's a huge loss to us if we lose minimum aid.
Oh, it definitely is.
So I just urge and encourage you, if you have the opportunity as a school committee to actually have our senators and reps,
Yeah.
you know, either here with you or whatever, but make them know we're watching. Because it's really hard because and they get hammered by everybody. But our senators and reps have all the big regions, all of them. They have Wachusett, they have us, they have Quabog, they have Ash West. They have all the big ones. And so Central Mass, there's no excuse for the senators and reps who represent Central Mass aren't in the forefront pushing for this stuff. You know, getting closer to 100%, you know, transportation reimbursement is critical to us, critical to the towns. So the towns understand, we've got to push them and say, we need regional transportation, we need local aid. And local aid just died. I mean, I really thought MMA was going to push big for that, but I don't know if MMA just doesn't have the horses I thought they did or whatever, but that seems to be going nowhere. Nowhere. That's my whining for them.
Additionally, there was the lead headline in the Globe today was special ed transportation. Just another.
Yeah, but of course, the thing that makes you crazy is that, remember, they're talking about, you know, increasing the reimbursement for special ed transportation. And on the other hand, they're saying, but we're probably only go to 80% for regional transportation. So special ed transportation is for all, okay? So I get it, everybody gets a piece of that. It's when it's only the regions that get it, you have fewer people fighting and saying, you promised us 100% reimbursement, we'll never get that, if we regionalize. And then they said, yeah, but it's subject to appropriation. And every year, that really hurts the towns, because the towns get all of that reimbursement. And if you don't get, you know, closer to 92%, that's a huge cut for you.
What is the reimbursement so far this year for regional transit?
In the governor's budget, it was 87%.
Like I said. In 80, when you were starting at 87, we got a lot of work to do.
Now, where's Steve Brewer when you need him?
Exactly, sitting up in West Pleasant Street next to me, that's where he is. But I mean, there are people who work really hard for us, but we, you know, Senator Goldie is not there. She certainly was, you know, sort of a real worker for us, for regions. She's now in the governor's cabinet, working on rural issues, but you know,
These ones.
it's going to be a long slog, I think. I think there's, and at least the projected revenues are not bad. What they're building their budget for at the state level, it's not bad. But they've got so many needs because of things not coming down from the feds. So anyway, I think it's gonna be a rough ride, but I certainly
State is not in
appreciate.
good shape.
I'm sorry?
The state is not in good
Well, I don't think any
shape. They
state.
had a hiring freeze for a year.
Yeah,
And they don't intend to, the word is that it may not be lifted in the next fiscal year.
so anything that, I know some of you are real Trojans because you've been certainly with me at crazy meetings and spent hours and hours and hours in places trying to make senators and reps, really appreciate our needs. But those big, you know, things you kind of have to show up. But I do not feel that that's where the pressure is. The pressure's got to be right with them when the people who vote for them or not vote for them, you know, are able to talk with them in a personal way, because you know, the people who are listening to the hearing, it's sort of like this room, you know, but there's hundreds of us, right? They make you wait 7, 8, 9 hours before you can testify. And then they say, okay, you've got 2 minutes. And they mean it. I mean, the dong goes off and they want you to leave. And they come and they go out and have lunch and then they come back. And so you're not always talking to the same 15 people. And they're kind of depressing, I'd say. There's one Lawrence coming up, but when they're one-on-one in the room with you and they're going, these people vote for me and they talk about me after I don't vote for them. Schools are huge. And, you know, as much as we want, I don't know, whatever we want for the town, we know 70% of our budgets probably more in some of the really small towns, are schools. If the state were to help us on schools, they help the town immensely. Because our big cost center are you people. Hard to be to say, but so anything that you can do to make a call to a senator or rep, call them, have them stop in at your office, talk to your aides. I mean, we're really gonna push hard for, statewide. And you all know what's happening with us we are probably one of the schools in the longest in held harmless. We've been there for over 20 years. That means no chapter 70 increases because of our declining enrollment. So, in Wachusett in, Worcester's in, and now they're up to 272 school districts. Last year it was 211, 272. It'll be more next year. The enrollment decline, student decline in this Commonwealth and across the nation is mammoth. People don't get it. And I have people in Barry who get up at this town meeting and they say, quite frankly, we don't want any more children in here anyway, because all they do is cost us money. They say that.
Yes.
And they say that like you're going, what? Like you think it's a cartoon, but it's not. They really believe that all it is a black hole into which we throw money. Anyway, I disagree with them at times, but I look at your initial work and it's great. I mean, I think it's in the ballpark. I think we can do some of it. I don't think we can do it exactly as you have it now, but if we get a little more help in some of the aid areas, I think you're getting close to where Barry can help.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead. Anything else?
Yeah, I just put together this little chart for you. It says a visual and it shows how enrollment and required local contribution talk to one another. And it using a couple different examples, like Hubbardston have similar enrollment to Barry, but has a higher required local contribution, just because they have a stronger revenue growth. New Braintree has a very low enrollment, but still has a 1.26 million required local contribution because they have a very high ability to pay. Just this little visual shows you that if assessments were only driven by enrollment, then all the points would form a straight line, but they don't because it's not based solely on enrollment. If you want on the next sheet. And this will show you, again, your operating assessment compared to FY26 to the proposed 27. The dollar change and percentage change. And on the bottom, it will show you your assessment apportionment to the percentage based on your enrollment in your town.
So we've talked about a few of these things already, but what we know is that 272 school districts are now in hold harmless. This is a higher number from last year. Minimum aid, as we talked about, we have in our budget, and the governor came out at $75 a student. They did increase it by the end of last year to $150 a student. It's not a ton, but it's $140,000 for us. So we're hopeful that might help us. It is a very volatile purchasing time. Andrew, our director of technology, called for a quote on some items. And the rep literally said to him, I'll give you this quote, but you need to pay the price on the day you order the item. There are no guarantees right now. Rural school aid had been decreased over the course of the last year. The number is a little healthier at the start of this year, so we're hopeful that we're going to be okay. Another thing we haven't talked about, though we did talk about it the first go round, was federal funding. So we've been able to be prepared to have our title grants just level funded, which would be a reduction for us. And as we have so many things in Title I especially. And vocational schools, this is going to impact the towns. I've already heard a lot of conversations about this. So our vocational schools were allowed to take 20% more of students this year in enrollment. And so many of our towns are hearing from vocational schools this week. Families are getting notified about students choosing vocational education, which is wonderful. And it's exactly what we want for them. If that's their desire, but it does have a different impact on the town because they're managing both the vocational school budgets and our budget as well. We do understand the challenges that our communities face. Advocacy efforts are going to matter big time this year. I feel like there's been a little bit of fatigue in some of the efforts for rural school aid and honestly in our legislators. So I've met with Peter and Donnie once already. But I think that they're sort of tired of hearing the same thing. And I think we have to have a new way to message that to them. And one thing we haven't really had success with is sort of getting parents to the table. And to Maureen's point, those are our voters. So I feel like that's something we have to strive to do. And it's going to take all of us collectively. You live in the communities to see if we can get some people to come and attend and really put names and faces in front of our legislators. I think that's going to be critically important this year. Our first annual town meeting is going to be Barry on May 19th. So we have a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. And I think I have,
Very early, you will not have anything from the Senate to
Yeah.
take home. And, so that's really early. So it'll be a little different.
we have a question slide. Yep. So questions.
Any further questions for us? Okay.
Certainly hope we'll have some of you on Zoom with us on the
Already
18th.
signed up.
It's 3 yeah. I mean, we're just gonna go over and talk about some of the same exact things you talked about here about where we need to pressure. And one really sad thing, Mark can probably, and can talk about this. We went to the hearings in, I forget what it was.
January?
No, it was very early about the change in the formula.
Yes, we were,
Remember?
12th
We
November.
said, it's gonna be so crowded at Worcester.
Oh, yeah,
we were
Doherty
really,
High School?
yeah, we went to Doherty High School and there were
Doherty
6
High
of us. There were 6 of us.
6 of us.
That's all who showed up. And we're saying, we're in the big region. It wasn't only about regions, it was about little schools that were going, into this new held harmless that they don't understand yet. Wait, they will. And were we stunned?
Yes. And then we went out to Greenfield
It was much better.
and it was much better attended.
Because they're the real rurals who've been in held harmless for many years,
But we were stunned. 6 people,
Worcester County area.
8 people in Worcester.
It felt like everybody was kind of talking about it in the fall, right? There was like a lot of chatter in the fall, and then all of a sudden it's been kind of quiet.
And I have heard very little about Lawrence because they're having it up in Lawrence.
Right.
Not a grid, not a lot of regions around there. So because I'm always thinking about what's going to happen to regional schools. And, again, it'll be Lowell and Lawrence and Billerica and the big cities that already got with the Student Opportunity Act, all the money the last round. So it's not going to be easy.
I know Deb might have some questions, but Allison, a quick, maybe next budget meeting or just there have been some slides over the years that gives the Chapter 70 determination from DESI. I know I can go to DESI and download it, but it articulates or refers or outlines the obligations of the 5 towns. And it's just like the penalization, as you said, Oakham's going to be penalized maybe at 2%, and then therefore they have to be, their required local contribution moves the needle more.
Yeah.
Can we get that next time on all the towns, just as it? Okay. Because that just helps in us in articulation of numbers.
If you expect you will have assessments to us by the April 30th deadline. Okay. You expect an iteration that may be impacted by chapter when whatever the House does. You'll probably have House numbers by then. I mean, not that those are going, you can't take those to the bank, but anything that you can do to modify those assessments a little down because we'll be heading to town meeting.
Yes.
Right.
In May.
And Mr.
We
Wiggler,
feel the pressure.
Okay.
I promise.
Mr. Wiggler, we'll be on that, on budget as well. And you said April 15th?
Actually, that was one of my questions, Mark, was if
April
you
15th.
were planning further budget meetings at this time.
I'm sure we're gonna have additional meetings. We don't have a date, but I think, we need, you got contract negotiations going on,
I just,
which is you know, as.
Critical.
It's a variable, critical variable,
I understand.
a high-end variable. You know, the heating oil thing, I don't think we're gonna. I don't know, they'll probably, you'll write a contract, but they'll probably put a disclaimer in it saying that, you know, world events could impact this rate, whatever. So it's, yeah,
I don't understand.
Sorry, I was.
Yeah, I
Sounds
think
rude.
honestly, I
got you.
have a lot of questions and I feel like this, usually in the budget subcommittee, we get into the nuts and bolts a little more in detail, and I don't want to take up all the time to
well,
make.
give me a couple
You
examples.
know, like I'd like to know, you know, why such a big increase in tuition and special ed, what's changed there, and just some of the regular questions, and I don't feel like I have a good grasp of the numbers that we're presenting.
Jill can answer
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Yep.
For this year, I mean, we've had a student go residential, so that's automatically a huge increase. Actually, we've had two.
I know, cause
I mean, like,
I
it's
was
just
just
an increase in
surprised 'cause we're
placements.
working so hard and bringing these nice new programs.
We only actually have 15 kids out of district, so our number is still very, very low.
Yes.
The cost of
The
places
resident.
are actually going up really quickly. I mean, there was some private placements went up 14% and there was no notice to districts. It was just all of a sudden, here's the increase, and whether you budgeted for it or not, you have to pay it. So there's a lot going on in that as well.
And just a quick
Yeah.
piggyback on that question only, on that area only. The state sets the rates for the residential
Right.
placements.
What was their number this year of an increase?
I don't remember exactly the number.
Double digit?
They set, it was double digit. They set residential and private day programs as set by the state. And those have gone up. Even our collaboratives have gone up, not quite by as much, but it's almost more expensive to send a kid to a collaborative these days than it is to send them to private.
Wow.
There's a move at the state level to investigate the increases for special education programs right now. So that's something that's out there that,
Good.
yeah.
Good. No, I know
I'm
you've
sorry.
done such a great job with bringing students back and creating. So I was just surprised and we hadn't had a meeting, but
Yeah, and I know for the budget, like I am aware, so we have, you know, some early intervention students that I'm aware of that in the next year are probably going to need something pretty significant. So I kind of plan for that, knowing that they're going to be turning 3 in the next year and kind of erring on the side of caution, like hopefully they don't need like a CAPS Kelly Day program, but I think we have a couple that need.
thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Like benefits, I assume our health insurance, is that? Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't
No,
able
that's
to
okay.
attend last night, and that's probably where I should have. I expected.
We did
I
go through that
expected
all
all,
last night.
I
Yeah.
expected 100 slides tonight, and getting all the information, and I just don't feel like I'm comfortable.
On the insurance, Quabbin, you're on a calendar year bid
For health
for health
insurance,
insurance?
January 1st.
So
Yeah.
it's on a calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
And the increase was 7, am I off base?
12%.
12%.
Mm-hmm.
So 12% we know based on the next 6 months. Well, at least for the year, but at least from July 1st forward.
Yep.
What is the anticipated amount allocated for the next 6 months in FY '27? What was the anticipated budgeted increase?
In FY 26 or FY 27?
27.
And it was a bit, depending on what the employee chose,
You have a question?
the rates were a little bit, so the highest that, depending what people chose, the highest was 12%. And I think the lowest was 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a bit variable depending on the plan.
So for the next 6 months, you said
Yeah,
729,262,000.
okay, that's the cost for us.
Yes.
And then as we're building the budget, what is the anticipated increase for
What
calendar
percentage
year of
did you
27?
factor for the the second half of the school year.
The whole overall percentage that's increased from last year it's up 20% overall from last year.
Okay,
So right now we've got a buffer on that.
we got a buffer, 20%. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question was kind of answered. I was curious about this, so that was the one thing I noticed, the increase in the special ed program tuition. And you mentioned that it's a statewide thing where there's an increased number of conversion to residential. I was curious to understand, like from Quabbin in general, do we see that common on a year after year basis where more students are going residential?
I'm not sure I understood what you were saying.
So for special ed, I think you mentioned earlier, there's a conversion of people going residential.
Not statewide. I think it's just every year you don't know what's gonna happen with your student population. So we, as a district, have had a couple of kids go residential this year. And we've had very few residential kids over the last several years.
Almost think it's
And then all of
Right.
a sudden you have a couple that need residential programs.
Right.
Next year, we could have 3 families move into the district who have kids out of district, and we have to assume that cost from when they move into the district. So,
okay, I got it. So it wasn't like kids that are currently, it's just new kids moving in this district.
sometimes, that's not the case this year. This year, we have students who live in our district and have for many years whose behavior and needs have required more intensive placements.
All right, which that's the dynamic. So in essence, like, is there an opportunity then? In other words, like, would the question be, okay, well, the specialized programs that Quabbin would need is not here. In other words, if we improve that, would that bring them back?
So we have specialized programs and we have done a nice job reducing our out-of-district placements. At one point, I think we had a high at like 35 to 40 kids out of district. We're down to 15. You know, so we have a relatively low rate of students who are out of district, and the ones who end up going out of district a lot of times are in our specialized programs, and we aren't able to maintain them in that specialized program. So we do have specialized programs for our students with emotional disabilities, autism,
Right.
Intellectual impairments. It's a lot of times when they go into another program, residential is pretty rare. We don't tend to have a lot of kids who go residential, but it does happen.
Right, so I would assume there's a high threshold. You're gonna just randomly do it without a proper process.
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I was referring to, Mr. Moncour, around the state looking at it was schools are expressing great concern that some of our specialized programs, our out-of-district programs, are able to raise their tuitions by high rates, percentages, that schools are not prepared to pay. So there's a desire to level that, so that schools have a little more control and there's a steadier type of increase, if that makes sense. I mean, I will speak to just 2 of our collaboratives. So we belong to a collaborative with Keystone Collaborative and the CAPS Collaborative. And in the past 2 years, both of them have purchased beautiful, amazing properties that they're now housing their students. And I mean, Keystone is incredible. They bought this farm orchard in, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful. And they're paying, you know, millions of dollars to build these locations and outfit it for their kids. And I'm not saying they deserve any less than that. Don't misunderstand me. But it's been able to happen for multiple collaboratives over the past couple of years.
All right, anyone else?
If I did, I would.
I thought you were
Okay.
patiently waiting.
So Allison, I think we're all set on that piece. Mr. Wiggler, next step.
Next step will probably be as soon as Colleen has some new information relative to numbers. You know, I mentioned that. Big hits on the revenue side. You know, what the house comes in with, probably could possibly even be before that.
Yeah.
Depending upon.
Of course.
I mean, I know we're gonna get a report on like collective bargaining as part of the meeting, so now that date is also something that we'll want to take a look at the numbers that come out of that. And also, so I assume the next, month and a half, we're gonna be having at least one more meeting. And probably, if I had to bet, we'd be having more after that.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes the preliminary presentation for this. And now we'll go back to the agenda. Item 2 is consent agenda, outlining the approval of minutes, the warrant approval, and a donation, food donations for breakfast backpacks to the Q Community Closet from community members. Is there a second?
Sure.
And we seconded. We still have a person online.
Yeah.
So, any further discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Dave Shams?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Mug?
Yes.
Mr. Moncourt? Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Ms. LaRange?
Same.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Student elementary at this time.
We have no elementary.
No Ella? No
Neither
Ella?
Ella or Anna, neither one of them could attend this evening.
Thank you for
Okay.
coming. Our pleasure. Have a nice night.
Administrative report, superintendent of schools.
So Jess is going to open up the director's report. As you can imagine, a great majority of our time has been really focused around budget. So some of the things that I have done, and I do this each year, is I offer listening sessions to our staff. And I've completed 4 out of the 5 schools. Actually, as of today, did I finish? I had to reschedule one, right? Oh, I went to New Braintree.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I
You didn't
did.
go to Hubbardston yet, Monday.
I went to Hubbardston. This is with the teachers and staff.
Oh,
So I actually have been to all of them. So that's good news. But, you know, we had a couple snow days, so I do have some teachers who wanted to reschedule things with me. But typically I just ask them for any ideas that they might have to create efficiencies within the district. I've done this for 3 years. Every year I come back with something that is very, very useful. And I have to say that I think people just appreciate the opportunity to be heard. And as well as, you know, coming up with creative ideas, they live it much, you know, they're there in those classrooms every day. And what I will say is they also tell me sort of the things not to touch, which is also important. You know, again, they're living it. So I really appreciate them doing that. We have the Hubbardston Regional Agreement listening session this week. I'll also be bringing the lease because we completed the lease to match those. We gave Barry their lease when I visited last week. I didn't have great attendance at the listening session in Barry, but I got to meet the new town administrator and that was really nice. And we did meet with the Hubbardston. I keep calling him interim part-time. I'm not exactly sure what his title was, but if you remember, we received an earmark last year for Chromebooks, and I just want to say this because I feel like I might have forgotten to say it during the presentation, but the reason we reduced our Chromebook refresh cycles because we sort of pre-purchased with that earmark from last year. So we felt comfortable doing that, but the town of Hubbardston also received an earmark from Senator Durant for a boiler replacement last year. So we were meeting with the town administrator just because we want to make sure that you know, the town doesn't lose out on that opportunity to use that earmark. So we met with them last week and the town administrator sees a lot of opportunities to partner with the school. We also have, as you're aware, we've been having some challenges with one of our boilers at the Hardwick Elementary School. So I communicated just an update out to families. There is a petition in town to bring that back to a special town meeting. It does require a significant number of votes. And then the other thing that I just want to sort of reiterate is, you know, looking at our budgets and making those reductions, we really are trying to align with, you know, both our student interest and also I've heard from the school committee loud and clear the past several years about some of our class sizes, our smaller class sizes. So we are working through scheduling processes right now, and that's some of the information that we'll be prioritizing. As far as the agricultural pathway, we did receive the survey feedback. We had a meeting about a week and a half ago, again, attended by Ann Goby, who's coming to the district tomorrow as well to do some PA projects with our students. So I'm very excited to see her. And you know, the surveys were overall very, very positive. So then what CMRPC was willing to do, because as I've said before, I do not believe we're going to have enough students to fill our own agricultural pathway. We're going to need partners. So I reached out to various local schools that I felt mileage wise, you know, could be a partner for Quabbin. And several of them have agreed to administer the surveys to their students and their communities to gauge interest. The two communities that are absolutely the most excited are Spencer East Brookfield and North Brookfield. So I'll keep you abreast of that. We did just through an email have conversations with Desi around the possibility of, there are several sort of schools that have become comprehensive schools that have these tuition rates for students who come in from other districts. And a desire, I don't know if Desi will step into this or not, but to sort of set a state rate around that so that we're not all competing with each other for different rates. So I'll let you know how that turns out. But it is really, again, as numbers change, it's so hard for us to plan. So anything we could know to be able to have greater consistency would be helpful for us. And then I put on there some of the things that we can absolutely think about attending to the Day on the Hill. I think you've all received an email about that. The Ways and Means is going to be March 23rd in Lawrence. I'm going to do some newspaper articles and video series around budgets in the Quabbin Regional District and what that's all about.
It's nice.
Allison shared some from her student school, and I thought it's really a great idea. You know, no one, it's not live, so you can do it. So we're going to give that a go.
Are you looking for school committee members for the 23rd? Possibly.
Yeah, I think if we can get to Lawrence and wear some Quabbin attire, even though it's in Lawrence, I think we'd show that we care.
What
you
time
know?
is it at?
I think it's like 9:30 in the morning it's a long day, but
I have a doctor's appointment
Oh.
first thing.
yeah, I can send that back out
Can
to
be late,
everybody. I
but-
can have Jess send it out tomorrow, so you have that.
Maybe there's an appetite we did last year with some school committee members are available to do that if they so choose to.
So then we have the Director Teaching, Learning and Support. I don't know if there's anything, Shelley, you want to highlight there. I know we have a lot of things happening. This time of year gets really busy as we're looking towards actually enrollment for fall. So preschool lottery, different things like that.
The kindergarten and preschool registration is now open. We did send a letter out to all families, just letting them know about our full day pre-K. We'll be doing our lottery selection on May 1st. And the parents that are selected or children that are selected for that program, the full day program, will be notified on May 4th. And then the other thing that I would just highlight within my report is that for the first time, we're going to have 5 students testing for the seal of biliteracy. And that will be happening coming up on March 19th and the 20th. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's something new that we've been able to bring to our district. And I'm really hopeful that we'll have some additional students testing at the end of the year as well.
3 in ASL.
Yes.
It's really an accomplishment. So
Yeah.
we're really excited that students will be able to graduate with that. So, and our foreign language teachers are really strong advocates for doing this. So it's super exciting.
So how is it highlighted, not obviously in the transcripts, but also, is it on their
On
diploma?
their diploma.
Is it also sealed on the diploma? Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Very cool.
Very.
And next we have Kevin, Building Grounds School Security. I don't know if he has anything.
Not much. We had met with the Building and Ground Subcommittee to discuss 5-year capital, and currently we're just going through all the equipment to preventive abatements for the upcoming spring season.
And then our Director of Technology, I know he is going to want to tell you about our esports team. So this is the highlight of the day. So let's see, Andrew, can you pop up?
I am here.
There he is.
Yeah. So just to reiterate what Colleen said earlier about the vendor pricing, they are experiencing a lot of volatility, especially when it comes to storage and
That's not
memory.
very.
Can you unmute him?
I am
Maybe
unmuted.
he needs technical assistance. He's a co-host.
He should be able to do this.
You can't hear me?
We can't hear
We can't
you.
hear you, Andrew.
We can't hear you.
I can hear him.
Oh,
Oh, it's the
see,
same
that's-
thing.
that's-
So
might
someone
be on
Chris
your
is
end.
saying you can
Andrew.
hear him.
They-
It's funny.
What is it?
It's in this room. We haven't been able to hear Alicia either, and her green light has come on when she spoke.
Yeah.
Just
Andrew, can you take over and see?
I will multitask. Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Is he downstairs?
Wait, this might be. Don't look.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Try now, Andrew.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Hey, nope, it's not.
No.
I
Good
can
thing.
hear you.
Thank God. It's not the volume on the remote.
I'm trying to launch.
Can you guys hear anything up there? No?
We can hear him, Colleen.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Ah, volume was down on the Zoom room.
Oh,
Last time you did it up there, something up there.
Yeah.
that's right. The Zoom room. I always forget about that thing.
Okay, so as Colleen said earlier, I just want to reiterate that we are experiencing a lot of cost volatility, especially when it comes to server storage and laptop components. We've seen prices increase anywhere from 50 to 200% in the last 45 days, and they're not expecting those prices to go down for at least 12 to 18 months. But the good news was, I did hear from our esports team today. They played tonight. They are now 6-1 and solidly in second place and have secured a spot in the playoffs. So that's very exciting for a first-year team.
All right, great job, coach.
There, well, Kim Whitelaw's the coach, but Andrew's whole team are, we'll call them assistant coaches, but definitely they're cheerleaders. So they're so invested in this. It's really exciting. And they're getting, I got them some jerseys. So they're going to get their jerseys next week before they go to playoffs. I think they'll be super excited about that.
How many kids on the team?
There's 5 on the team, but I believe when they play 3 at a time. So they kind of rotate and they do a great job with it. Yeah. Yeah. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Great.
Super fun. Allison, you have warrants?
Bi-weekly payroll, we have warrant 18, weekly payroll warrants 34, 35, 36, and 37, and accounts payable 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55.
Okay, it's on record.
Jill, do you want to talk about anything in your section?
And so we had our onsite last week with Desi. They completed some interviews this week because of the snow days that we had previously, but overall, very positive. There's nothing glaring that is gonna come back as being like deficiencies anywhere. So they were very positive. There's some new timeout regulations going into effect starting in the new school year. This has been kind of ongoing for the past several months. I'm not that concerned about it though, because we don't have very many students who actually access timeouts at this point. I think it's gonna be a relatively easy lift for us to kind of go into the new alignment, but we have another year to really kind of get it under control. But again, we have very few students who are accessing timeouts at this point. And then Special Olympics has been set May 15th here at Quabbin, so mark the calendars, rain date of June An even split.
How many assessments, Jill, do you believe they do in a year?
Each probably at least 100. I think last year we had a total of 200 psychological evaluations. So it was a lot.
What's that?
They have sound again.
All right, no other further questions, of the superintendent? Now we'll go to subcommittee reports. We took care of budget, central office. Between the two, I know you didn't make it last year.
Yeah.
I know you had the first meeting. Do you want to do from my side or?
Yep. So we had a joint meeting with budget last night, and our part of the joint meeting was when we had our previous meeting about a month ago at central office. We wanted to get the athletic director in and discuss some areas where, either what the cost was or could we save money in these areas, et cetera. So he came to the meeting last night, which was really good. Gave a good presentation, a good background, and answered all our questions. We kind of hit three main areas. One was we discussed student fees, pros and cons, obviously. And the feeling was, and I hope I didn't speak for everybody here, but I said I thought the sentiment amongst the school committee members was that we weren't big on student fees, and that would be really on the bottom of the list if we were trying to save money.
I appreciate
If I was wrong there, then you all can tell me that, but I think that
I don't think
in my
so.
speaking with members, I think that's the sense I got.
Yes.
And obviously that was the appreciation he had, and we talked about what the fees were some years ago. He had numbers as to area schools, both towns and districts, who currently charge fees and don't charge fees. And a number around us, it seems contiguous to us, don't charge fees. And schools that did charge fees, it seems that at least the numbers he had weren't as much as what we charged up to 6 or 7 years ago.
No, they were more in the $75, $100 range.
But anyway, so that was our discussion there. The next thing we spoke of were gate receipts, thinking that might be an area that was not ripe for tapping, but better for tapping than other stuff. And right now we charge $5 for adults and $3 for students. And the thought was, and once again, this is what other people were charging, other entities were charging, what would be $8 for adults and $5 for students. And we didn't come to a decision like that's what we would do, but that would be an area to look at if we have another go round where we have to look for some savings. And there was also discussion of a couple other areas of, we do online, and correct me if I'm wrong here, online ticket sales. And then there was a discussion of either a family package or
Seasons pass.
Seasons pass, and there were pros and cons on that, but that was something that we could look into the future.
How much money would we get if we raised to the 8 and 3 to 5?
Well, what was the income? About 22,000
yeah.
last year, so
$8,000.
maybe.
I
Yeah.
think it's the same as fees, quite honestly. I mean, we're putting it on the backs of parents who are bringing the rest of their kids and family members. It costs you, a family, a lot of money to watch their kids' games through a season.
And there was no
And then they donate to the concession stand, their time.
there's no disagreement with that.
So-
Yeah, it was just
I
looking
know.
at
No, I know.
the lesser of evils.
I agree.
And once again, it wasn't like.
I hope we don't have to consider that.
We all kind of hope that. And the third area we spoke, we got into was the transportation, and the buses cost us a lot of money to move students. And I think it was, he said $1,000 a pop just for one bus trip out.
For athletics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he said $1,000 a pop. So anyway, over the years, what we've done is we've gone into taking vans and sort of hopefully downsizing the amount of students we take. And one of the reasons was, and my background with my kids was an example. For the wrestling team years ago, you would take a bus out with 20 kids. The parents traveled well. The bus coming back might have the coach and 2 kids on it, or 3 kids. It was just such a waste of a bus. And so what we're doing now, to the best of our abilities, is utilizing the van. So if you have as he was saying, you have a JV coach and a varsity coach, and even a middle school coach. And so there's one driver for the van, and was it 11 kids or nine? Nine kids. So that way we could figure out how many kids would go on the vans, which cost less money. And he says we've saved many thousands of dollars over the last 3 or 4 years, kind of post-COVID, because we really didn't do a lot of traveling the COVID years. An area he's been doing the best we can, so it doesn't look like an area we can squeeze more money out of. Whatever opportunities would arise, we do. He's tried to have more on some of the areas, like maybe more home meets. I know in wrestling, some years it was like only 2 home meets, and I think this year we look for more home meets. And that helps also, not only with the buses, but you get the families do their own concessions, and we make money on that too.
Yeah,
So,
the gate fees.
yeah. So those were the 3 main areas we looked at, and he's done. He went through numbers on how many kids we have. We have many more kids than we did like the 3 years ago, or coming into post-COVID, we're doing a lot better even than we did pre-COVID. There's the negative, which is not our negative, but it's statewide and nationwide, of all these clubs that are doing their thing. So, parents might have to decide, do you want your kid playing on the school team, or do you want to join a club? And of course, the parent thinks that their kid is going to be a star in college and maybe get into the pros, and they'll go to the clubs, and that hurts us because we lose some of our kids. And from my point of view, I think it hurts the kid because they're taken out of the school area where their friends are competing. And I think that's a negative, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, that's pretty much what we did for our.
Good. And Deb, last month?
And we had a meeting prior to that meeting where we just brought that up, but we reviewed all the leases now that the regional agreements. We went through all of those, and we really didn't feel there's a lot of changes that really need to be made to most of them. So I think we're really kind of ready to move those forward.
And we definitely made them more uniform.
Yes, that was our goal, really, was to try to make they should all match the regional agreement and kind of match each other. I mean, they're a little different in a couple areas, but they pretty much are aligned now. So it's, it should hopefully go smoothly with the town. So those are 2 big things between the regional agreement and the leases, but we still have a lot of work to do, as Colleen's done a great job with the listening sessions, informing the towns, and now we need to get it voted on. So we'll need to make sure we really advocate at our town meetings for the regional agreement to be voted on, because that needs to be approved by all 5 towns.
Yep.
So.
Again, thank you for all the work of all the members, not only on the regional agreement, the study committee on that, formalizing that, going through that over the year. That is now voted and in the town's hands. And then again, allowing the central office to be able to go through. Walter having an excellent eagle eye of looking up language along with Lee to make sure. And then the administrative team to really go through line by line. So that Jessica Bennett's of the world can be able to show that was highlighted and everything else.
There's more than one?
There's only one.
There's only one. But the leadership team, with Colleen and Jessica.
Honestly,
she did all
they
the hard
just
work.
make our job easy. We just kind of show up.
And it did take us time to get through that. It took a good an hour and a half, 2 hours to go through.
But that was not bad.
But it wasn't bad.
But we were efficient, we
Yeah.
agreed on, and we just kind of went through and kind of made sure they were all aligned, and we took them one by one, and
now
it
it's
was good work.
for the towns and
Yeah.
the superintendent's charge to get
So I
that.
think for
Fine.
central office, all we have left is the audit.
Yes.
Any updates?
I actually reached out to our legal team today to get them to have a strongly worded letter, because we're really concerned at this point. They just keep sending us letters that, are trying to let them off the hook, but we need those numbers.
Yeah.
So our legal counsel is going to put something together so we can send to them.
Thank you.
I got a copy of a letter and I responded by saying, looking forward to Greg. looking forward to seeing you at our April meeting. So I will follow up with a phone call as well, but the superintendent is on that. But I did put in writing today. Was it today I did it?
Yeah, I think so.
Did it today, and I said, looking forward to seeing you and hearing from you, Greg. At our April meeting. Greg. So, okay. Thank you. Collective bargaining.
We have been meeting with the teachers. We had a couple meetings and we'll be meeting next week. Of course, I can't give out much information. The best I could say is the meetings have been amicable.
Okay. Any questions or anything, Philippe?
I can't answer.
I guess we can't.
Any generic questions? Okay. Buildings and grounds.
Okay, we met on May 5th, talk about a capital plan from both Buildings and Ground Department and also the Technology Department. They're both pretty extensive capital plans. And in the interest of time, I don't want to read my entire minutes from the meeting because they're basically the capital plans, in brief. And you each have access to those capital plans. Are in the drive. The Buildings and Ground, I note, has tabs at the bottom for each elementary school, for the central office, for the middle high school. So there's capital plans for each of those buildings. At the beginning of the meeting, we had a virtual visit from Matt Carlatucci. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. East Coast Renewable Energy. He wanted to talk to us about if we had any questions about net metering and the EV charging stations. So we didn't really have too many questions. I guess the next step is site visit to determine exactly where the charging station will be.
So it looks like it's gonna work
Pretty much
out.
it. And if Mr. Clark or Mr. Walsh wants to add anything, they're more than welcome.
We have some concerns with our aging paging systems, phone systems, and clock systems. It's something Andrew and I have been working on and trying to gather information on, but in the next few years, we're definitely going to need to upgrade phone systems that are discontinuing to work with because of the age and being able to communicate with some of the newer model systems. So we're trying to get information on systems that can actually accommodate all three of these and trying to get some pricing and some information on that stuff going forward.
On the phone systems, when was the last time it was updated? 10 years ago or older?
It's older than 10 years. I don't know if Andrew knows the year.
We upgraded some of the systems 7 years ago, and that was the last time. But that had been just an in-place upgrade of a lot of the peripherals. The core system itself has stayed the same for quite some time.
Thank you, Walter. No unfinished business. Is there a public comment?
Oh, thank you.
There's no public.
Okay, school committee comments. And before I look around to Dr. Allen, I just want to, before I go to Dr. Allen, I just want to kind of give a thank you and appreciation to David Marsh. Thank you. Tonight's the last meeting unless we have other emergency meetings or whatever. I just wanted to really say thank you. I know that you didn't renew wanting to go, and I know your schedules and everything else. But again, I just need to tell you, for 9 years, truly appreciated your leadership, your involvement, your articulation. Thank you for the technology. And I truly appreciated when you spoke to the high school graduating class a few years ago of the message that you gave. Not only will I miss you, I know you're in the community and you help. Not only do you help here with us that you did for the past 9 years, you help many folks to be able to walk, jump, run, reach, and many other things. So just want to say thank you, and I don't want to give you too much, but I want to say appreciate everything. Thank you. Dr. Allen.
Yeah, two things. There's a play tonight, supposed to be last week, but it's tonight. And because we have a school committee meeting, I got a special invite to
the
the
pilot?
presentation at the school to the school kids today, Persephone,
Wow.
which was very nice. I got to see a number of our staff there. And this caused me to think about grandparents, reading, writing, arithmetic. What would, I say, well, the old Greek ideal. Physical, music, academic, the trilogy. And that's what we have here. We have all of these aspects of a well-educated, well-rounded, prepared person to go out in the world. And it was great to see these kids. They had a wonderful time because most of them got to yell. Their parts, they were yelling. So that's a good one for a kid. And I got a call yesterday from my friend Lawrence Spargarten, graduate of Quabbin long ago from Holland. He's chairman of the radiology department at his local hospital in Haarlem, Holland. But we've had a number of foreign exchange students. I had as many as I could manage over the years. But I think they added a very nice soupçon to the melange of what we have here. One's a pilot for American Airlines, and another one is a businessman in Madagascar, Africa. He was a lieutenant colonel in the French Army.
I'm glad we had a partner.
Yeah, we did.
Soupçon and melange in the same sentence. What are you trying to do?
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
So Persephone is the one act competition. My daughter is the assistant stage manager, so they competed last weekend. We drove up to North Andover to watch them. Well, I was here with the teachers at like 4:45 in the morning, dropping them off. So kudos to the teachers that went along too. They were phenomenal. They were really wonderful. Ms. Payne is unbelievable. Just being a parent and someone who has been very involved in a lot of school activities through my job, being able to watch her direct the students without really even directing just speaks to how much work she puts in. And again, for my daughter, feeling completely welcomed from the very moment and appreciated. She was wonderful to watch. They didn't make it to the next stage, but by this much, it was so close. And they were so brave because they were the only ones to do a comedy. Everybody else did the drama. But they were wonderful. And I think it's either 4 or 5 of them are either 7th or 8th graders. So there's a lot. Yeah.
The competition is fierce.
It was
Fierce.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Last year, they were the only school to have a student director. Isabel Coviello was their director. And Miss Payne, I just have to give her a huge shout out because she's kind of had some, her sister's been very ill and she's had to take care of her sister in Michigan. And she insisted on being here that weekend to work with the kids, and she really, really is amazing. But I think one thing that always impressed me, at least when I got to see them in that, because it's a little different than when they do the productions here, they are so independent. The adults literally have to stand back. They cannot give them any directions whatsoever. The students have to take the lead on everything, and our students do everything from light and sound to their own stage setup in a matter of minutes or seconds, I think it is.
It's timed.
It's timed. It's incredible. Yeah. Really fun.
Anyone else?
I think you should point out to Mr. Marsh that he's of course welcome to come and observe school committee meetings.
Well, I work on Thursday.
Not for the past 9 years you haven't, not at least once a month.
I've had to take 2 hours of vacation time every meeting.
Wow. Thank you.
So,
Yes.
What a way to spend your vacation.
I know. With us.
With us.
We're gonna
No,
really miss you.
You can take your nameplate with you if you'd like.
Your party.
Your party gift.
thank you.
Will we adjourn?
Good. No new business. There's no executive session and there was a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second and good evening.